Hey everyone, this is Simran here. Welcome to Build for Bharat's meetup number 2, House of Workshops. Today we'll be hosting the workshop with a couple of our partner companies and with a Binance Smart Chain team. So welcome again. It's really glad that all of you guys made it to top 100. We had 350 plus applications, but only like 100 of you guys could like make up, and that's a very big deal. So congratulations. Thank you so much for participating, and thank you so much for being a part of Build for Bharat. Today I'm just going to share my screen. I'm going to wait for like 5 minutes for like more people to come in, and then we'll begin the sessions. Hey Gerbert, you're live right now, so everyone can see you.
Okay, thank you. So hi, I'm Gerbert Vandenberghe. I'm Chief of Product at Arkane Network. And today I will tell you a bit more about our offering at Arkane Network, how we can help you facilitate with developing applications on blockchain. And then I will also have a short demo on how easy it is to integrate Binance Smart Chain with Arkane. So I'm going to try to share my screen. Okay, if all is good, you should see my screen now. So there's a play, present, okay. So I hope everybody can hear me loud and clear and see my screen. So at Arkane, we offer blockchain wallets and NFT services to developers who want to integrate their application with blockchain. So the agenda, I'm gonna tell you about the problem. I'm gonna tell you who's using blockchain and then the 7 key components of how to build successful blockchain applications. After that, I'm going to show a demo, and then there's some time for Q&A for you. So at the moment, there's been a shift from games, buying games. So you used to pay like a lot of money to buy a game, but there was a shift to free to play. So now in the App Store, you can just download games, start to play them for free. And almost nobody pays for games anymore. Now, Gartner says that almost all apps fail. And the issue why they fail is because they fail to monetize their applications. If we look at blockchain now, there are major players coming into blockchain like Atari, Panini, Delta Time. The Sandbox is one of the bigger games in blockchain, and Tops offer trading cards on blockchain now as crypto collectibles. So we can say that blockchain is actually going mainstream. Now, what do we do with Arkane? For developers, we offer them an easy solution to onboard users and to offer these users a blockchain wallet. We offer them a possibility to create and monetize NFTs. So through our API, you can just create smart contracts that support tokens and create NFTs and mint them. We will come back to that during the demo. So it allows you to develop an asset economy where you can buy and sell NFTs that you create to your players, and your players can hold them in the Arkane wallet. For end users, we are not just a regular wallet. We have advanced options like you can send crypto to email using Arkane. You can swap tokens. You can just sign up through your local, through your social logins. And we also offer direct customer support. So people having problems using Arkane, they can just go on the chat and chat with us to get support. Now, there are 7 key elements in creating successful blockchain applications who intersect with each other. So you should focus on the concept of your game or your application. So blockchain can be an interesting technical component in the background of your application, but you shouldn't focus on trying to build a blockchain application per se if there's no good functionality to use blockchain. So use it for the right reason. You also need an infrastructure that scales very well. Like currently with Ethereum, transactions fees are very high. It takes often minutes to half an hour for a transaction to confirm. So better to use an infrastructure that scales like Binance Smart Chain, for example, a chain that we support. Use a developer-friendly platform. It will help you speed up development. And also important is that as a developer, you get good support of the technical components you integrate. Focus on easy onboarding of users and activating them. Like on Ethereum, the main wallet is MetaMask. But for that, people have to download and install a browser plugin. They have to back up their private keys themselves, which is very inconvenient for mainstream audience. So with Arkane, we allow social logins, and it's a very successful way to onboard new users. Then we have tools to create and list digital assets, and you can also buy and sell them on our marketplace that will go live in about a month. So the different components, the different elements, we present them as components. So you can focus on the game and the concept, and we take care of the technical infrastructure regarding the blockchain integration. For example, the Sandbox users us. They have about 1 million in community members. They have done multiple successful land sales, and they use Arkane Wallet in the background to have their users sign up. Know why you choose blockchain. So that's the use case. Don't make it complex for users to use a technology if you don't really need the technology. So the Sandbox uses blockchain for asset creation, transfer of ownership, and in-game payment and settlements. And these are very interesting use cases to implement blockchain into your application. Then use technology that scales. So I referred already to Binance Smart Chain. So it's a very good infrastructure on the blockchain level. They are very fast, transactions confirm very fast, and it's a very supportive community. Then don't waste time implementing blockchain. So as a developer, you don't need to know every detail about the blockchain. With Arkane, we offer SDKs and APIs to easily integrate with blockchain, so you don't have to learn all the blockchain details yourself. So we offer accessibility. Our products are platform and device independent. You have a lot of customization options, and we offer multiple services that you have actually a full round solution to integrate with blockchain if you use Arkane. So how it works, Arkane is actually a base layer for your application. It's a technology layer that translates calls, API calls, or SDK calls from your application to the blockchain. And your users will use then your application and through that, the blockchain. We are a team of mainly developers. We are all raised in software development, so we know how important it is to get decent documentation. So really focus on support for developers and good documentation that makes it easy for you to integrate blockchain through Arkane. We'll come back to the developer kit. So we show you what we have made for you to make it easy to get on board with Arkane. So the sandbox uses our multiple components. And then it helps onboarding mainstream gamers through our social logins. So I'll demo how Sandbox has integrated it. We also have a staging environment. So for the hackathon, we can provide you access to our staging environment, which allows you to test all your applications just the same way as it work on production. And then to create and list digital assets, well, the Sandbox registers it on the blockchain and they list it on a marketplace. And on the marketplace, it goes live and it allows people to ramp up with fiat and buy and sell NFTs on the marketplace, the Arkane marketplace, using fiat. So people don't have to go to an exchange anymore to first buy crypto to make transactions. So it makes the ramp up very easy for mainstream audience. Okay, so this is the Sandbox. I'll demo you how they integrated Arkane. So if I go to the Sandbox, I come on their website and I can choose to log in. I'm already logged in with my Arkane wallet. Let's see if I can log out. The logout option on the Sandbox is very well hidden. Probably here. Okay, apparently their logout option is currently not working, but it's actually for letting people sign up to the Sandbox, they use Arkane social logins. So they have 3 buttons on their website: to sign up with Google, to sign up with Facebook, and to sign up with Twitter. And if you choose to sign up with Google, for example, then Arkane will start authenticating you against the Arkane service, and it will load all your information, so your wallets, your profile. And of course, like with any demo, we have some hiccups. Okay, so I'm logged in with my Google account, and this is a demo application, actually. It's a reference implementation of our SDK or a widget, and it's the easiest way to get up to speed with Arkane and to offer your users blockchain wallets, social logins, and signups. The code is also available on GitHub, so you can just visit the link. You can download the code of this application on GitHub, and it gives you a head start. And with this application, all you can do, so let's go to Binance. We're on Binance. So I can manage my Arkane wallets here. So I can connect to Arkane. I can connect to my Binance wallets, select another wallets I want to connect to. Now, this application can be connected to my both Arkane wallets. And once this connection is done, then I can start interacting as an application with the Arkane wallets. So all we offer is you can sign a transaction that you can post to the blockchain yourself, or you can just execute a transaction. If you execute a transaction on this wallet, it will create the transaction what your user has to do is enter his PIN, and the transaction will be posted to the blockchain. I just enter my PIN, and the transaction goes to the blockchain, and the Binance tokens are transferred. You can do the same for NFTs. You can check all the outputs that's sent to the blockchain during the logs. So it's very easy for development. Other functionalities we offer is signing raw data, or EIP 712 signing. You can sign a message, so it allows you to prove that one of your users has agreed on certain terms because he signed a message with his private key, and only he has access to his private key. So it actually proves that your user has signed this message. And you can also do contract calls from within Arkane Wallet. So you can just execute functions on smart contracts. So that's about what we offer through the SDK. Now it's very easy to initialize. If you go to docs.arkane.network, you get all the information on how you can set up the SDK. So it's basically a JavaScript library. You can just install it using an npm command, and you initialize Arkane, the web provider, and then you can start with all the calls. So you can retrieve a user's profile, his wallets, its balance. It's all very well documented, so it gives you a head start on integrating Arkane through the API. Now, we also have a wallet that we give users access to. So users can see all the applications that they have connected their wallet to. They can see their tokens, their token balance, and they can interact with their digital assets through the Arcade wallet. Actually, we started as a developer service, and our wallet was mainly a demonstration of what you can do using our APIs. But at the moment, we already have over 50,000 users using our wallet, so it became a bit of a success as well. Now, as you can see, I also have an inventory. I have non-fungible tokens on the blockchain, so it are like digital assets. Like, for example, this is Gambit from X-Men Heroes. It's a token contract. And with Arkane, we allow you to use our APIs to create these assets on the blockchain. So I'm going to go to Postman. Now you should be able to see this. So these are our APIs. They are also well documented. So if you go to our website, you can see all the information on token management, token contracts, how to do it. It's probably better to give you a live demo. So you need to get an access token if you want to use our APIs. And this access token gives you the credentials to use all the other API calls. So let me quickly get an access token and set it for the whole connection. A bit too much. Okay, now that I have access, I can use a call to get my application. So I can have multiple applications. And when I create a certain smart contract, it's for a specific application. So for this, I need to get the application ID. Okay, probably my access token is not. Okay, let's do that again. Okay, so now I have the application ID, and this application ID I need for my other calls. And these calls allow me to create token contracts. So I can list my NFT contracts that already exist. So it's just another API call that gets all the contracts. So I'm going to send this call, and I get a list of all my token contracts. So you see, I already gave a couple of demos. So I have multiple X-Men Heroes token contracts. I have an Avenger token contract. And to create such a token contract, it's actually quite easy. You call the API call to create a contract, and you give your information. So the name of the contract, the description. I want to deploy it on Binance Smart Chain. and the symbol of my contract is X-Man. When I send this to the Arkane backend, it will send this token contract to the Binance Smart Chain, and it will be deployed on the Binance Smart Chain. So it's has an ID, and it's still being deployed on the Binance Smart Chain. It usually takes a couple of seconds, so it goes very, very fast compared to other blockchains. Now I can do the same to create a token type. So a token type is actually the definition of your token, in which you describe all the attributes of the token. You make the references to the images. So you have a description. You can set the properties like it's a hero, his weapon, or playing cards. And once you have created your token type, then you can start to make instances of these tokens. So if you want to mint a token, you just post the token ID together with the destination address. And this destination address, it's actually my wallet to which I want to send the token. So this way you can on the fly use our API to create a token on the Binance Smart Chain and send it immediately to a user's wallet. So that's actually a full offering to create token contracts, to create NFTs on the Binance Smart Chain. And the next month, when our marketplace goes live, you can buy and sell them there as well. And then another offering we have are the Arkane white labeled wallets. So as in our demo application, for example, you see that if I want to make a transaction, I get connected to Connect. So here you see some branding of Arkane Connect. So people know they are interacting with their Arkane wallet. Now, if you don't want people to see the Arkane branding, then you can also integrate the wallets through our white labeled APIs. So, and it also offers you full functionality to create APIs. And in that case, every transaction goes to the API, and you have full flexibility to develop your own front end. So when a user has to enter his PIN, he won't see that he's integrating with Arkane. So that's mainly what we do at Arkane, how easy it is to get started. If you want to start using Arkane, we have a type form that you can complete. I will post the link in the chat. You just fill in this form, and then, well, like in half an hour during our working hours, we can get you up and running with your client ID, which gives you access to Arkane, to our SDK. If you want to start using the NFTs as well, it's best to contact me through Telegram, because that's also a bit more work to set up. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Do I have a chat here? Yes. So I'll add the link of the type form, and if you want to reach out to me on Telegram, you can just connect to @Shillables. So that's about it for what I have to tell you. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Everyone, you guys can like ask questions in the comment section, so y'all can just type it out and we'll just answer accordingly. +50 people on the call and nobody has a single question. You guys are smart.
Then I guess it's all very clear.
We'll just wait for a bit.
Sure.
Ping. So.
Is it all open source? No, our blockchain providers are open source, but the rest of Arkane is closed source. We do have a security bounty program. So since like 2 years, we are working together with Integrity. It's a bounty platform for hackers, and they try to break it into Arcane. If they succeed, they can get a bounty of like 5,000 euros. But in the 2 years we're up and running, no one has been able to hack into our platform yet. Um, Background verification started. I don't really know what you mean with that. So the insurance product you can integrate through our APIs. So we offer all APIs. Smart contracts that we don't offer. So if you need smart contracts itself, that's something that you will have to pay to yourself in Binance Smart Chain. Okay, how seamless the platform is for NFT tokens development and wallet integration. So it all runs very easy. Like minting NFTs on Binance Chain takes like a few seconds. So if you use our API to create these token contracts and these NFTs, it's just all using a simple API call, and we do the translation to Binance Smart Chain. You can send the tokens to your own wallet or to one of your users' wallets as you wish, because when you mint a token, then you also choose the wallet address to which you want to send it. And the wallet integration, it's mainly integrating our JavaScript SDK. So there's a reference implementation. The API, how you can get it, well, it's documented on our website. It's still in staging, the API documentation. We're moving it to production soon. So if you go to docs.staging.arcane.network, I'll add it to the chat if I can. Then you can get there into our API documentation. Otherwise, you just reach out to me on Telegram, and then I can also give you access to the documentation. Identity verification and certificate verification, that's not something we do at Arkane Network. So people can sign up through their social credentials, and that's how you can allow them to log into your platform. Okay, the advantage of Arcane versus Engine. So Arcane is platform and device independent. If you would use Engine, that's only the Engine wallet runs on mobile. We also have a Unity plugin that allows you to work with NFTs straight from within Unity if you would use to develop from within Unity. And if at Engine, if you create NFTs, you back these NFTs with Engine coins, which can make it quite expensive to create NFTs. And if you create NFTs through Arcane, you don't need to back them with specific currencies. Do you plan to support other side chains? Yes, currently we support like 10 blockchains, which we have two gold partners, and those gold partners are Binance and Matic. So with these teams, we work closely together, and we can give very good tech support. Yes, if you want to integrate us, we usually, if someone reaches out to integrate us, we create a client ID for him, and we also set up a Telegram group. So in the Telegram group, you can ask all your technical questions. If you have problems, we are happy to help you out. So we have a good tech team, and we are happy to give you guys development support when you start integrating Arcane. So any more questions?
Hey guys, do you all have any more questions at all? You just wait for a bit.
How difficult is the integration part? So it's very easy. So as I showed you, you can just use the SDK. You have a command to integrate the SDK, and then it's all very easy. It's just basic JavaScript calls that you have to do. And as said before, if you have questions, please reach out on Telegram, and then we help you out. The interoperability feature on Telegram, on Binance Smart Chain. So we have full support for Binance Smart Chain. We allow you through our SDK and through our API to make calls to transfer tokens, to transfer BNB, to create and transfer NFTs. So we have full support for Binance Smart Chain, and it works very well. So Binance Smart Chain, it's one of the best blockchains at the moment because it's very fast and it supports the EVM. So it's very easy to work on that and to get started. Also, the Binance team is very helpful if you have any questions on Binance chain itself. Okay, more questions? Please feel free to ask. You're very welcome.
If no one has any more questions, we can probably wrap up. So, yep, I think we can wrap up.
Okay, so thank you very much for having me on the show
Thank you
and
so much for coming. Thank you so
for
much
the
for coming.
interest. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.
Definitely, we'll fill forward your contact in the group that we have, and we'll add you as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Great.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye. So, guys, we're 10 minutes early. But next up, we have Bitquery. So, we have Gaurav Agrawal, who heads marketing at Bitquery. Bitquery provides a unified data interface for 20 plus blockchain, and it provides a platform where anyone can analyze blockchain data via simple APIs, dashboards, explorers, and widgets. So, we have Gaurav Agrawal here with us. Let me just check up on him if he's backstage. So we'll just start with his session. We'll wait for a bit though. Until Gaurav comes in because his session is gonna start in like more 6-7 minutes. We'll just like talk everyone here. So Sunil Sharma is asking, what is the process and itinerary for the hackathon? So the hackathon applications have been shut. We shortlisted top 100 startups. Actually, we shortlisted top 114 startups because like people were amazing, startups were amazing, and we couldn't just shortlist 100. So there were 14 more. And after this, we have our two meetups, which is one today, which is a workshop, technical workshop. Then we'll have one another tomorrow, which is hosted by Google, Matic, Marlin, Band, and Anchor guys, who are also our sponsors of Build for Bharat, hackathon and accelerator program. And after the two meetups, we have our 48-hour hackathon on 22nd to 24th. It's 48 hours of hackathon where we are going to give tasks and challenges to our selected startups. After which we are going to have a round of final qualifying, pitching sessions, and finally by 30th of this month, we are going to release who are actually winning the hackathon. So that's pretty much about it. Do you guys have any other questions related to hackathon? So I can just like talk about it with y'all. Okay, so there's an update. We have Alexei from the Bitquery team who's gonna take this call ahead because Gaurav couldn't make it. So yep, just looping him in. Hey,
Hello?
hi, you're
Hello?
live.
Hello?
Hello,
How are you?
great. How are you doing?
Very well. Very well. Thank you.
Great. So Alexei, if I'm pronouncing your name right, I'm just gonna log out and you can take the session ahead. All
Uh-huh.
the best. Thanks.
How much time do you have for short presentation?
40 minutes, you could say so.
Oh, maybe less. Okay.
Yeah, whatever
Mm-hmm.
works with.
Okay. Okay. Good. So let's get started. I'll tell you a bit about our product and how developers can benefit from building solutions on our product. Um, Second. I'll share the screen. Do you see the screen? Okay, so our company called Bitquery, and we are doing the data analytics APIs for different blockchains, including Binance Smart Chain, mainnet, and testnet. And today we'll talk about what is the value of information and the data for developing on the blockchain. Then I'll describe how we solve the problem of access to this information and what we deliver for developers. We'll have a short demo and talk about the future plans, and maybe then I can answer some questions about it. So what is the value of information for the blockchain? So the blockchain network can be considered like a set of nodes, but also with a big database, like decentralized database with information about the transfer, smart contracts calls, states, and many other things. And like a database, and you have the access to this typically through the node RPC, remote procedure call. And typically a blockchain application reads the transactions or block information using node RPC. However, it's not quite good to if you want to access the historical or aggregated data. That's not very appropriate interface because you read just atomically specific events. So what if you need some aggregate data? And here we have the GraphQL interface to the blockchain network, which application can use read, say information that aggregated, say, by address or by token or by DEX trades or by actually everything. So it can be used by the application for different purposes. First of all, it can just measure the metrics. Say if you use like Google Analytics to measure website metrics, you can the same way you can use GraphQL to measure your metrics in terms of unique users, transactions, transfers, similar things. Also, you can benefit, your application can benefit from having the full historical data of, say, your smart contract. So you can base some logic inside that uses the historical data, not just the actual information, and like make the application smarter. You can subscribe to events that happens on the blockchain. You can track the money flow. We have special API for that. You can make financial trade analysis. You even can build like recommendation system, and like up to your imagination. And ultimately, of course, the ultimate goal to make the application better, more usable, to optimize UI UX, to make it like the world class. What we do, we provide the stack of technologies for applications to deliver their solutions based on data. So the bottom line is the data warehouse where we store the information from the blockchain. The next layer is the API, which is GraphQL API. And this is, we expect that your application will use this API generally, and we make it like optimized for application usages. The next layer is widgets. It's like simple JavaScript UI components that you can use even without programming, just copy pasting to show graphs, plots, tables, whatever you need from the data. And on top of that, you build your applications, user tools, whatever you want to show this information, and actually your application on the top level. And we also have some Explorer and IDE that I will briefly show today, like as examples of these tools. But generally, we consider this as a layer above our product. So when you build the applications on Binance Smart Chain, you use standard tools that you can inherit from the Ethereum ecosystem. Like for smart contracts, you use Solidity, VM standard. For client code, you use Web3 RPC, and we actually make it easy to migrate application from Ethereum to Binance Smart Chain by using the same GraphQL as you use on Ethereum. You can use the same query actually on the Binance Smart Chain, making it easy to build the application completely, how to say the for complete adoption of the Binance Smart Chain for applications that already runs on Ethereum. So let's take a quick look on what we're building and how it works. So if you go to just Bitquery.io, it's our main website. You have the button how try GraphQL API, which goes you to the IDE, and also you have here the on the bottom you have the Explorer, Bitquery Explorer, which shows you the different blockchains that we have with some basic metrics. This Explorer actually built on the same GraphQL that I just described. So let's start from here because it's easy to understand, like on something that is visual. So opening Binance Smart Chain, you see the latest blocks with transactions like transfers, DEX trades. You can see immediately the DEX trades here. So every of these graphs and tables has buttons in JavaScript, which you can use to copy the JavaScript code for widget. And you have the GraphQL button, which shows you the access to the API. So this is on the left is the query which fetches this data. In this case, this is list of exchanges for ordered by trade amount on Binance Smart Chain, and you can easily just press this and execute it. So this query can be easily embedded in your application using any GraphQL library, or even without a library. It's just a HTTP post request to this URL, and you will get this result on the right. So let me show the capabilities of this. So if you open the, again, starting from the website, try GraphQL API, it opens the simple editor for GraphQL. And here you can just start typing the query. And inside the query, you can, to query blockchain Binance Smart Chain, you select Ethereum as protocol, network as BSC or BSC testnet, depending which blockchain you want to query. And then, opening the brackets, you can query this data set. So the blocks, for example, is just the block, so you can query the count. It immediately return the count. It also has transfers, transactions, DEX trades, smart contract code, and smart contract events. So, for example, I can query smart contract calls of smart contracts by address. What is interesting to me, the address, and say the annotation of it, and say I want to know the count of that smart contract calls, and then I want to have only 10 top smart contracts on the Binance Smart Chain. That's interesting. Which smart contracts most popular? For example, I have descending by the options, descending by count, because I want to have order by count, and say limit. Sorry, it's here. The limit of say 10 top smart contracts of Binance Smart Chain. Let's see what it goes. So the first one, it's about 10 million. I think this is some kind of DEX. So this is almost 10 million calls. So I can also limit this by just today. So I, for example, say the date. The date is today. What date is today? 18th of December. So 18, and now it will give me just today how many calls they have. So the same way you can query DEX trades or transfers of currencies, whatever you want. After you created this query, you can use this directly in your application, like this result. You can use it, parsing this JSON, and just use it. Or alternatively, you can use this to place this widget directly on your website. Say modify this query. I can, for example, include here that the date, for example, I interested in just today, for example, just today, and I get, sorry, this is some extra variables that make syntax error. So yes, this is today. So I can apply changes, and I'll see this is DEX exchanges statistics for today, only on Binance Smart Chain. How many trades they have, currencies, traded, how many smart contracts they use, and what is the amount of in USD for today. So number one is Pancake. Okay, so if you build application on our system, we of course can help you. So join our Telegram channel. I will give the reference on the last slide. So we of course will help you easily to build the queries if you will have some problems with that or some questions. Let's go back to the presentation now and see what we have in the plans. So the plans are general to support decentralized exchanges. We already did that. So and I shown you that, but we have to add some additional. For example, we're missing now Burger Swap and some others. So we plan that. We also probably will have the extension for oracles and liquidity pool and different DeFi protocols as well, not just DEXs. And this is ongoing process that we added. The next thing, which is a big thing we're working on, that is the so-called the Flexi Graph. We're going to release it at the first quarter of the next year, and this will allow not just build the query that you that how I shown you based on our schema. You actually can develop your own schema, for example, specific for your application, and query according to that schema. So you can have your own like GraphQL endpoint with this schema. This will be pretty powerful, especially for protocols based on smart contracts with some special semantics. We believe that this will open the new area of applications. And what's important that you don't need to do anything to do that. You don't need to install any software. You just define your schema, and that's it. It will just work without any like installations or without anything. And also we work on environment to develop queries. So I shown you today in demo our ID, which is very basic and very simple. You can create queries, you can save them, share them, but we are now developing the next generation of environment, much more powerful. So that's our project and plans. And thanks for Binance grant program, Binance X, that they supporting our development here in this area. So thank you a lot. So our website is Bitquery.io, and it also has the links to our Telegram channel here. And feel free to join us. Some part of our product is on GitHub, so also welcome to look and comment that, and welcome to build the queries and use them in your application. So if you have any questions, I probably can answer that.
Hey guys, do you all have any questions? So just give them a minute, they'll just like type and get back.
Okay, let's wait a bit.
Yeah.
Mm.
60 people on the call and you guys don't have any questions? Give them a bit.
Can somebody ping like, was it Leave? Did you understand what I was describing? Maybe it will, some feedback will be valuable.
Yes, guys, please do that. Y'all can just type, ask anything that y'all want to.
Okay, in any case, we're open in our Telegram channel. You can just join, and our Bitquery, your Blocks Network Telegram channel, and please join, and we're open to answer the questions there. Yes, so we have, is there a question, is there a limit of the API calls we make with Bitquery? So yes, there is, we have actually 3 tiers of our product. So the first one is that I shown you is publicly open, and it doesn't require any registration right now. It's just open and free, but it has like limit in terms that we monitor the activity and we contact you if you will like be above that. I think that it also depends on the complexity of the calls. So there can be easy, more easy, or like resource intensive calls. So generally you are free to make like couple hundreds of thousands calls per month. That's not a problem. If you are above that, or you go to production, we have the paid plans for access. There is a shared environment where we sell the service as SaaS. So you will get the API key, and you will be able to query on paid level, or you can install our software just on your system and use it as your dedicated system. That's also an option that we give. But I think that for the for purposes of the hackathon, it's there's no limits of calls that you can do now. Thank you for the question, Romesh. What other questions? That's a large number of blockchains supported. That's a large number of blockchains supported. Are there applications that are end consumer of this data? Oh, of course. So we just added maybe right now the count is approximately 35 blockchains that we support, and most of them were added because application developers and our clients just asked us to support the specific blockchain. And recently we added Hedera Hashgraph, Filecoin, Harmony. So the new blockchains also Algorand, Celo, Conflux. Of course, there are applications that consumes the data, and I would say that mostly they fall into 2 categories. The first category is the applications that track money flow between addresses. We have very extensive support for that. I didn't show it today because it's typically not interesting for hackathons, but agencies, investigators, and people who track the risk and make risk analysis on the blockchain, they buy the API from us for the large number of blockchains, and we have the uniform API over that. And the second category is applications like Dexes, Matcha, 0x, MakerDAO, Kybernetwork, and others. They benefit from using this. Thank you, Nikhil, for the question. Any other questions? It will be cool if somebody will ask something more specific for the application they plan to build. If you have some plans to build some application, say how how like data can be used there, or how can they benefit. Is there a plan to provide Oracle service? Because since you already provide data, so the question is there a plan for you to provide Oracle service? Right now, no, but we open to just partner who can do that. We don't think that it's our like role on that, because we're not decentralized. But Oracle services can use us, say, as one source of information. That I think very, very useful in the blockchain, because the question continues, because since you already provide data to project data, it might be a good idea to be on Oracle as well. So we cannot individually, I think, be Oracle because nobody believes that. I mean, it's not decentralized, and that's why it can be used as just one source of information for Oracle. And I said that's maybe a very cool idea. For example, for DEXs, one thing that we just added is the DEX trades endpoint. For example, you can read the prices by time ranges in DEXs in Binance Smart Chain. So it means that you can build an Oracle that provide the prices for from other DEXs to these DEX. It can be useful, I think. Of course, this information is very like fragile. I mean, it's not the price that say can be relied on in all times, but it makes sense as used as very caution. But we have that. It may be interesting. Thank you, Benjamin, for the question. Very good question. Any other questions? Oh yes, the roll number. The roll number asks, does Bitquery support platform specifically for anti-fraud? Yes. I mentioned we have the money flow analytics called CoinPath. It's a very advanced platform specifically for this kind of activities. Yes, we do. We don't provide the like complete solution for that. We deliver technology that companies base these anti-fraud investigations, cybersecurity, based on our API. There are companies that are doing it right now, and they are our customers. Thank you for the question.
If we don't have any more questions, we can probably wrap up. Do we have any more questions, guys? I think that would be it. So I'll forward your contact or the emails or whatever you guys have to circulate. I'll add to the group and add you as well to it.
Cool.
So yeah, all right. We'll just wrap this up, I guess. Yep. So thank you so much, Alexei, for joining us. It was really great to have you here. Guys, I will forward you all more details on Bitquery and things that you all need to, connect with the team. So that should be it. Thanks again.
Thank you for the question. Thank you. Bye-bye. Waiting for your activity. Bye.
Definitely. So hi guys. Now next we have Tenderly with us. So Tenderly has a set of cloud-based services to help dApp developers with development testing, smart contracts monitoring, as well as production infrastructure. They are an advanced and in-depth remix IDE, Dune Analytics, and Alchemy in one uniform service. We have Bogdan Habik, co-founder of Tenderly, here with us to guide you guys and give us a talk today. So just looping him in. Hey.
Hey everyone. Hey. So that's actually a really good introduction. I feel like I would do it no justice if I did it myself now. So as Simran mentioned, hi everyone, my name is Bogdan, and today this webinar / whatever format we should call this is going to be in form of a quick presentation first, on why I personally think monitoring is really important. That's like the first thing. And then after that, I'm going to demo Tenderly to you. So basically, you can see how this can help you during the hackathon, both with debugging and making everything even production ready during the hackathon, maybe. So let me share my screen and then we can start. Just a second. So I'm going to assume that you can see my screen. So basically, why we're even having this conversation is that we are talking with a lot of companies during the past 2 years on working on Tenderly. And basically, especially now during this whole renaissance of DeFi projects, multi-chain setups, and everything else, monitoring, which will cover what it actually is more important than ever due to security, due to making everything production grade and making sure that everything is working as we expect. So as the introduction already stated, my name is Bogdan. I'm one of the co-founders of Tenderly. And basically the title of this talk is Fantastic Metrics and Where to Find Them. So we will quickly cover what is important to monitor in our app. But first, what actually is monitoring, when to start monitoring, and then finally, what can we do about it when it comes to blockchain applications. So this is like the standard thing that you can get, I guess, by Googling, which is like a set of tools and processes by which you measure and manage your IT systems. But this is one of those abstract definitions that makes almost no sense when read in isolation. So basically, metrics or data points generated by our application into the Web 2.0 world, or by our dApps or smart contracts, our UI and everything else. That's our system that's generating the metrics, basically. And we're thinking of how can we use all of the data that our application is making to get some business value out of it. So basically, we can divide this into two parts. So the business part of things and then the system side of things. So when it comes to the business side of things, basically, we have user experience data. So this is, for example, UI data, like our users achieving with our application, that protocol, what we expect them to, or what we want them to do, actually. Then the second one is that it's actually used, the business metrics are used for making product decisions. So this is both true in the blockchain world and in the normal Web 2.0 world. So we must use the data that we're gathering to make product decisions. It's much better than doing like rule of thumb or guessing what the users actually want. And then also it's used for technology investment. And what this means is basically we use this data to allocate our time. This is especially important in blockchain because teams are usually small, a couple of people building like huge products that have millions of dollars locked into them. So basically, it's really important to see where to focus our efforts. So that was like the business side of things. Now we have the system side of things. So basically, when it comes to the system side of things, we have the state of the system, which is, for example, in the smart contract world would be the state of a smart contract. So this for ERC20 tokens, for example, can be the balance of the addresses, or for NFTs, it can be who owns which NFT. Then we use this to basically detect problems. So this is much closer to the developer side of things. So we can basically use the data that we're gathering to debug production issues. So even debug our smart contracts if we're using proxies, and then we can upgrade them. We will see this later. And then finally, this is to diagnose and resolve faults. So once we find what's not working, we can use this to come up with a fix and actually fix the thing that isn't working. So we have the business side of things and we have the system side of things. So the next question is probably when to actually start monitoring. And I think this is really interesting to look in the context of a hackathon. So basically we can have this like in 3 levels. So the first one is manual, the second one is reactive, and the last one is proactive. And especially during hackathons, and a lot of projects here, I hope will become like fully fledged production projects. Most projects that even started like with normal VC funding and everything else is doing the manual one. And by manual one, we mean that we check periodically. So for example, imagine making your project on the Binance Smart Chain. Binance also support, Ethers can also support the Binance Smart Chain. So imagine waking up each morning and refreshing your transaction list to see if everything is working correctly. A lot of projects unfortunately do this. The second one is we have Discord, we have Telegram, so you have your project running in production, and then you have users coming to you and saying, hey, something isn't working correctly, which isn't a great experience both for you and your user. And then finally, we think about this when something fails. So we actually don't give any thought during the development process, during the hackathon, on what can actually fail. We wait for our users to report it. We wait for it to show up on Etherscan, for example, and then only we actually see and debug the thing, fix it, etc. So that's the manual one. This is the worst one, and unfortunately, the state of the blockchain ecosystem is still that this more or less the main way of doing things. And with this talk, we're basically trying to change that. The next one is reactive. So it's usually based on simple thresholds. So for example, you will get an alert if a certain balance goes above a value, or if your smart contract is running low on ETH or BNB or whatever your chain uses as a native currency for gas. So it's usually based on simple thresholds. It is a good first step to measuring customer experience, and by customer experience, I mean we're slowly but surely thinking about how can we use the data that we're generating to optimize the experience of our customers, basically. And then finally, updates tend to be reactive. Again, something happens and only then do we react. But the difference between this and the manual one is that we actually do think about it during the development process. So it is the last step. We didn't think of it in advance, but we do shift our project with some reactive monitoring. And another interesting thing in this bullet point is missing is that on the manual side of things, if something fails, we do nothing about it after the fix. In the reactive one, usually we will set some sort of a check that this doesn't happen in the future. And then finally, we have the one which is the best one probably to do, but the most hard one is basically the proactive one. It is that the monitoring is the core to managing your infrastructure in your business. So you cannot count anything as done basically before you have monitoring. It is focused on measuring the application side of things. So let's say, for example, the application side of things can be some state variables in your smart contracts, in your protocol, which the business doesn't care that much about, but you can turn that data into something that the business does care about. So for example, total value locked in your smart contract. There's focus on measuring quality of service and customer experience. So we're basically using this data to be sure that everything is working as best as it can for our customers. So that's really important. And then finally, we cannot count something as complete or done without this. So projects that do this the correct way basically won't ship to production without having monitoring installed. It is similar to audits, for example. We have seen many DeFi hacks in the last couple of months that were basically shipped without any audits, and then somebody hacked them and it isn't working correctly. This is much harder to have in the proactive approach because audits are unfortunately really pricey right now, but we can definitely have monitoring quite easily, and I'll show you later how. So this is the most important takeaway from this part. So products will not be considered feature complete or ready for deployment without actually some monitoring infrastructure around them. So we covered what is monitoring, we covered when to start monitoring, and then let's see what this means in the context of the blockchain. So I'll show you how to set this up after the presentation. So the first one and the easiest one to see is basically gas usage. So we should see how much gas our functions using. We should see if we can optimize somewhere. This is especially important if you're running on a chain where transactions are pricey. The next one is optimization comparison. So after we did some change to our smart contract, we should use some analytics solution to compare if the change that we made actually did make some progress towards being more optimal. Protocol version comparison. So this is, for example, if I remember correctly, from March from the 0x project, but basically we're seeing that if we have two versions of our protocol for that, we're seeing if people are starting to actually use the new version. So this is also important because if people are still using the old version, there might be something that we want to fix from the perspective of either customer experience or maybe incentives. And speaking about incentives, this is, for example, the incentive comparison. So we have some economical incentive mechanism built into our solution. we should definitely track to see if the incentive mechanism is actually achieving what we want it to achieve. Emitted events, this one is the easiest one. While we're developing smart contracts, we usually emit events to notify off-chain actors of something that's happening. So it's important to basically check the heartbeat of our smart contracts or our protocol and see if everything is working as expected when it comes to the events. And this is basically the same data seen as a table. Function calls also another really interesting one. So other than the events and everything else, we have optimized our gas. We are tracking everything. We're tracking incentives. We should also definitely track to see if the function that we expect to be called or being called, or if some function is an outlier and being called too many times. That might be a signal for us to investigate things. And speaking of outliers, we can also do outlier detection. So as the blockchain is public and anybody can basically make a transaction towards our smart contract, it's really important to check who is calling our smart contract and how much. This can be a great signal of somebody trying to misuse our product, if somebody is draining funds, for example, or if somebody is using our protocol or project in an unexpected way. So outlier detection is also a really interesting one. So definitely what's important is to monitor from day one. That's one takeaway. And the second one is that business and technical metrics are really, really important. And finally, be proactive and not reactive. So that was like a quick primer on what monitoring is and why it is important. The next step, what I would like to show you, is how to actually set it up. So here I'm going to open up Tenderly. Oh, I actually already have it here. So it's on dashboard.tenderly.co. And I have two contracts added here. Adding a contract is quite easy. So for example, I'm going to copy the address of the Binance coin on the Ethereum mainnet. And how this looks at the beginning is I can make a project. So we can do here BSC demo. I'm going to create the project. It prompts me to add the contract. Basically, I'm just going to paste in the address of the mainnet BNB token. Check it here, import contract, and instantly I can see all of the transactions that happen here. Now, this is really interesting to see, but let's look at in a more complex example. I have a really, really, really interesting project set up here with a bunch of contracts here, exchanges, Gnosis tapes, etc. So the first thing that's interesting is that we can see all of the transactions for our smart contract, although this is mostly by because people are using it. We can see all the transactions in one place. But let's see how Tenderly can actually help during the hackathon. I think that's interesting. So I'm going to pick a failed transaction in the Kyber network protocol that Alexei, for example, mentioned in his Bitquery talk. So we can go here, and this is interesting for the hackathon. If something fails, we can instantly see how it fails. So you basically get stack traces like you would expect from a language, from a programming language in the year 2020. So basically, you can instantly see where the error was. You can see what the transaction actually did. I can even click here to see specifically what happened there. But let's dive even further. So let's go into the debugger here. I can actually step by step here through the transaction, look at all of the input variables, output variables if they're there. If some state has been accessed, I can also see the state variables. None of them are being accessed here right now. But this is really interesting because if we go back to the overview of our transaction, I can basically go to debug error here. I can instantly see the input here at 0x. So this isn't bigger than 0. So the trade is invalid if hint is a wall. So we debug this issue. Normally, if you were doing smart contract development, this would probably take you at least tens of minutes, but in some cases, hours and hours on end to actually do. So this was like an unsuccessful transaction which we used for debugging, but let's pick a transaction that actually works. And I'm going to use Kyber network proxy as their transactions are quite interesting and complex. So if we jump here into the transaction itself, we saw the debugger, we saw the overview screen with all of the information. Let's see what else we got here. We have a listing of all of the contracts that actually participate in the transaction. So it's really interesting to actually see the whole DeFi money Legos analogy of how things are working. We can see it here, basically the Raptif, the Kyber network, and a couple of other, the Uniswap routers. So a couple of projects basically working together to achieve here probably a swap. The next thing here that we can see is basically events emitted. So we can even, for example, filter by event name or filter by a specific contract. But here we have everything decoded. So usually on Explorers, you would see something like this, which means almost nothing to us. Here we can actually see human readable data. We can see the state changes as well. So again, if you use some other solution, you probably would have seen this like as hex strings. Here we can actually see it decoded correctly. So this is a mapping, for example, from an address to uint, and we can see it correctly decoded here. We can deep dive into the state changes themselves. So this can also help us with debugging. We saw the debugger, and finally for the transaction, we have the gas profiler, which you saw during the presentation. So basically, I can make a deep dive here and actually see. So the reserve trades is using 250K of gas, and maybe I want to optimize how this works. So I can deep dive. I can see that DoTrade uses most of the gas here. I can see the breakdown of actually how much gas it is using, and then I mean we can see that, for example, I don't know, record imbalance is the one that I want to optimize, for example. So that's what we can do, like with a single transaction intangibly, which is quite powerful. But in the talk, so this is really interesting for the hackathon, and you can also use it locally via our CLI, which I think would be the article will be shared in the chat itself. But we can see a resimulate button here. What does this actually do? I'm going to pick some other transaction which might be more simple to actually see. So if I filter here, I'm not going to do Kyber, I'm going to do DAI, and let's do a transfer here. So just give me a second for it to load. So we need a transfer. Let's pick it up here and find some transfer. Here we go. So we have a transfer, which is like a really simple transaction, but let's do resimulate here. So Tenderly provides you a way to resimulate transaction historically. So here I can change input parameters. I can change the index of the transaction inside the block. I can change the address that gets sent to the transaction and simulate what could have happened. So let's use the default address here, which is like the 0x000. And if I simulate this, this should fail. If I'm correct, it might not. Yeah, okay, so this passed basically. But here we simulated the transaction without submitting it on-chain. So we didn't pay for gas, we didn't do anything. We saw what would have happened if the parameters of this transaction were different. But let's make this even more interesting. So again, I'm going to click resimulate, but this time let's use the pending block. The pending block basically says is that we can simulate transaction and see what will happen if it gets submitted in the next block. This is quite powerful, especially to use it via API. You can basically see what will happen if you do it now without submitting it at all here, and it will probably succeed with the input parameters that we pass here. So the simulator basically gives you a way to see what would have happened if something was different, or what will happen if you submit a transaction. As I mentioned, there are local transactions which I will be demoing now due to time constraints, but they can use all of the tooling with our CLI and export transaction from the local Ganache node or Hardhead node or whatever you're using to Tenderly and debug there. Next up, we have analytics as well. So here we have like a default dashboard which shows like transactions over time, events emitted over time, each value over time, etc. But we can do some even more interesting things. So I'm going to create a graph here. So this is really interesting because basically what we can do here is see real-time analytics. So none of this is actually cached on any way, so you can experiment a lot. So let's do average gas use for all of the contracts, and let's break it down by function. And then let's do something crazy. My computer would probably die if I do this, but let's say by the minute, maybe a second to render basically. So now we will get a chart which shows the average gas consumption per function in our project for the last 7 days every minute. And here we can see a bunch of data returned to us almost instantly. And finally, the last tab that we see here is basically alerting. So as I mentioned, you should do proactive monitoring, not reactive ones. So you can achieve this with Tenderly monitoring. So here I can make an alert. So for example, I can get an alert if there's a successful or failed transaction, if there was a specific function call. But let's see here, this one is an advanced one. So let's say event parameter, and then for example, if there is a DAI transaction that emits a transfer event, the transfer is more than let's say greater than or equal this amount of DAI, basically, which I'm not sure how much DAI this is, but basically, if this happens, I can get notified on my email, on my Discord, on my Slack, on my Telegram. We also support for production applications, for example, Sentry and PagerDuty. So you can get real-time alerts the moment something happens without you actually having to check any place for what happened. So as I mentioned, it can be quite complex. So we have also ERC20 transfers, whitelisted and blacklisted callers, so it gets notification if a specific address happens to be in the transaction itself. Get a trigger if an ETH balance of an address goes below a certain threshold, if there's like a transaction with X amount of ETH being sent towards your or from your contract. And then finally, let's do this one as well, which I found really interesting. So this is basically the state change one. So if I pick DAI here, I can pick, let's do the total supply one. So it can be as flexible as this. So basically we can get notified if a threshold is passed, there's like a percentage change, if specific criteria is met, or if the value changed at all. So I can basically even say if it's changed by more than 10%, notify me again, and I will get a real-time notification if that happens. So Tenderly has a bunch more stuff. This was already a lot. I hope you saw how you can use it in the hackathon. So I guess I'm open for questions now. Can the monitoring tools of Tenderly can be used to see how the bonding curve basically any mathematical for certain tokens behaving, maybe with some graph API? Okay, so we do provide all of our data via REST API. We didn't have graph API yet. So if it's stored on chain, you can fetch it with Tenderly. Basically, depending on how you define your bonding curve, I saw a couple of projects. I'm not the bonding curve expert, so I'm not sure of that. But basically, if it's on chain, you can pull it out with Tenderly. So the question to you is yes, definitely, and you can ping me on Discord or Telegram if you want to discuss this offline. Can you do a free for paid account? Yes, we do have like how do you say it? Partnership, basically. Yeah, partnership with Binance, where certain projects will get Tenderly for come. So there is basically in the lower right small chat icon, so you can ping us there. That's the first way, or ping Binance X, and then they will ping us, and you will get the account if you're eligible. I saw my internet drop for a second. So, any more questions? Any auditing related services? So really good question. We don't provide auditing services. We're not doing audits, but there's a bunch of teams from Consensus, Go, what else? Basically, yeah, Gnosis and a couple of other companies basically that use Tenderly for audit related services. So basically, auditors use our tools to do the audits themselves, but we don't provide auditing services ourselves, basically. But yeah, really good question, Roll. Thanks.
Do we have any more questions, guys? Let's just wait for a bit.
Sure thing, no problem. By the way, thanks for having us on the meetup.
Awesome.
I always find this time zone difference really interesting because it's 5.5 hours. Yes, Roll. So basically, we support all public networks that are more or less there. So for normal Ethereum, we support mainnet, early Kovan, Roth, and Rinkebai, XDAI, POA, Matic, and Binance Smart Chain since last week, actually. So yeah, if it's EVM based, we support it, and there's no need to basically pick a network. You basically just search for the address, and we actually figure out automatically which network it is, and you can instantly add it. And as I mentioned, you can also use it for your local network. So if you're using a Ganache node or a Hardhead node, you can use our CLI, which you can find through the dashboard or the UI, basically. You can use your CLI to monitor that as well. Ah, great. I see you found your contract on Common. Great. I'm glad. Any more questions? By the way, Alexi, you can reach out to me to basically on Twitter, Discord, Telegram, or whatever, and then we can see about that.
Definitely, yeah, circulate your Twitter handles and everything else to them on the group chat. Do you all have any more questions?
By the way, just so everybody knows, Tenderly has an amazing free tier. So all of the things that I showed you, you can do for free. So the paid things usually for teams and everything else. So do try it out. Don't think that it's a paid solution that you cannot use it. It's quite good in the free tier.
Great. Yep, I will share Bob's Telegram and Twitter and the other profiles, guys. So do you all have any other questions for him? If not, we'll wrap it up.
Great. I think that's it, I guess.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Bye.
So guys, do you all have any questions related to the hackathon? If y'all want to know anything, just type it out. I'll just answer it and then we'll wrap it up. So if y'all want to know the dates, what are the next steps, if y'all have any questions at all, please let me know. Y'all can just ask me. So yeah, related to the competition, there's Lakshay asking, what do we need to show a demo or full working POC? So Lakshay, if your startup is in the top 100, then we'll be having a competition, a hackathon for 48 hours, and we'll give you a good set of tasks and challenges to complete. And to answer your question, you do need to have a working POC at least, basically. Is the test flight version okay? Yep, totally. So, what are the parameters for selection of top 20 amongst 114? So, we'll have the hackathon, the 48-hour hackathon, where all the startups that have been shortlisted are going to get tasks and challenges, in line with their segments, in line with their industries, and what, things they can actually achieve in 48 hours. So, basically, on the basis of that, we'll have judges from our sponsors, basically Google, Marlin, Matic, Band, Anchor. The BSE team will be joining in, and we'll also have a couple of more people from our team. All of these judges are gonna judge and are gonna give the top 20 prizes basically on basis of that only. So the top 20 are also gonna receive credits from Google Cloud. That's also something that's there, and I will share more details on what are the exact parameters. We'll get to know that during the hackathon, basically. I think that's it. You guys don't have any more questions. So I'll wrap it up. Thank you so much for coming. It was really great that all of you guys came in so many numbers, and I want to see you guys further. And it's just been a great journey. So I will send out information of all the speakers who spoke in here, their presentations, and their email IDs, or contact numbers, or like Telegram numbers or something like that. And if y'all have any questions, y'all can definitely ping me on Twitter or Telegram. I am in groups that, whichever groups you guys are on, as well as on F6S. So let me know. Thanks, guys. It was really nice. Bye bye.